Okay, hello friends, and welcome in one more Scrum Master interview session. So today we have Kushal Pawar with us, all the way from Pune. And friends, he just cracked 3 interviews recently. So congratulations, first of all, Kushal and Kushal, sorry, and thanks for giving your time today.
Uh, Thanks, Sunan. Finally, I got a chance to appear on your YouTube channel. And I can't say it has been so helpful for me to crack all those interviews. I subscribed to your channel some 1 year back, and it has been so helpful for me. Throughout, I used to refer your channel for all those, day-to-day activities and everything. And eventually, I cited out some scenarios from your channel, or scenario-based questions and everything, and you are doing a thankless job, I must say, for all those agile aspirants. And yeah, that's a perfect platform, I could say. And I wish you get more and more subscribers and help
No,
more and
it
more.
is because of people like you only, nothing great, but yeah. So thanks to you guys. Yeah. Okay. So Kushal, before we start, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit?
Yes, so Sonan, I have been associated with Infosys for almost more than a decade, and it's a parent company for me. And since past 5 years, I'm working as a Scrum Master. Before that, I was working as a QA, and eventually I slowly migrated towards uh, Scrum towards becoming a Scrum Master. There was a resource crunch at onshore. At that time, I played the role of QA lead and partial Scrum Master, and then in there itself my journey got started. uh, so from there itself, I took the full-time ownership of Scrum Master in year 2018, and from then, since then I have been playing the role of a Scrum Master. And my experience revolves around all those banking sector. I have worked in investment banking throughout my career.
BFSI. Okay, good, great. Okay, Kushal. So shall we start?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. So friends, all these are the common interview questions which we received from Kushal. So let's start with your the very first one and the important one. As a Scrum Master, what do you do all day? What is your day-to-day responsibility as a Scrum Master?
See, Sunand, being a Scrum Master, I precisely worked in a TNM projects. That is, you can say, a true agile projects, not the fixed bit projects. So I was handling couple of pods. One is DevOps and other one is core dev, other team. So in that, throughout my tenure, when in the day-to-day activities on Sonal, I used to, first of all, I used to check that if at all we do have any blockers in the mails and everything is going fine or not. If at all we do have kind of blockers or some, in the swim lanes, if I can see some blockers are being mentioned in the Jira board, then I used to capture them in the rate log itself. Then after that, I will have a PO sync up call with the product owner. On daily basis, 15 minutes we used to catch up, and then we used to come up with some mitigation plan to fix those blockers. And if at all some follow-up needs to be done from my end or from PO's end, we used to take the follow-up and all. And uh, apart from that, if at all some new joiner has joined in a project and he's coming from a non-agile background, so I used to make sure to brief him about all those agile artifacts and how agile works, and try to instill those Scrum values within him or her. And more importantly, we used to have a daily calls in terms of twice in a week we used to have agile best practices call. That is across that program level, where we all, where the Scrum Master from all pods used to be a part of that. And we used to share all those agile best practices in terms of what definition of done all the projects are being following, other projects or other team members or other tracks are being following. Is it common or not? Do we have standard definition of done and all? So what reporting format we are using? So these things I used to discuss in that call. And more importantly, apart from facilitations of all those sprint ceremonies, I was precisely involved in those Scrum calls as well, where we were reporting uh, an agile coach. He was acting partially as an agile coach and as an RTE as well. So we were on the verge of getting migrated towards safe, but yeah, at that time we were following Scrum only. So uh, So we used to report him to discuss all those dependencies across the pods, whatever the dependencies we have, and whatever the challenges we are facing in terms of if at all we are facing spillovers, more and more spillovers. So how in a better way we can define the backlog, so we can identify those dependencies earlier itself and all those things. And apart from that, my daily job used to include, uh, this I used to monitor this Jira board on frequent basis. If at all a story is being marked as completed, so as I was working in a TNM project, so it was very much monitored that whatever the story is being marked as done, so it should have all those things in place, just like we had a standard definition of that the code is being completed, then Jenkins is green, Jenkins build is green, then a story should have epic link, acceptance criteria, approver field, then PR link, and then your Git repository link. Everything is in place. So if at all anything is failing or anything is missing, so I used to just inform that particular developer that it is missing and we really can't mark it as done. More importantly, and apart from that, we had kind of a efforts logging procedure. So I used to monitor that efforts as well. If at all team is burning the efforts, logging the efforts on frequent basis, a day-to-day basis, because otherwise that ideal burn down chart, it won't appear correctly, and at the end of the day business may ask question on that why it is not coming perfectly, has the effort been logged on the last day itself or something like that. So these were my activities, and yeah, that is what. And more importantly, once before the demo, I used to share that sprint and demo pack with all those with both the dev leads, where they will be putting whatever the architectural diagram is here, how architecturally we have progressed as compared to the previous sprint. And more, I used to put that all those Scrum metrics within that, either it be velocity chart, your burn down chart, everything I used to put it into that. And this was the main responsibilities, apart from conducting all those sprint ceremonies and facilitating ceremonies.
Great. Thanks a lot, Kushal, for that elaborated answer.
Uh, Sorry, Suman, you are not audible to me.
I'm not audible?
Yes, now you're audible.
Okay, no issues. Okay, so thanks, Kushal. Shall we move on to the second one?
Yes.
Okay. So second is again one of the most asked question. It's on your, as a Scrum Master, what are the impediments, the challenges which you have faced? So if you want to share some of the challenges and how you overcome, that's more important part.
See, Suran, cultivating that culture, agile culture, to a particular resource who is coming from non-agile background itself is a big challenge. And that, if at all somebody has worked throughout in that waterfall model, the approach towards agile gets a bit reluctant. Okay. So at that time, that was a challenge that I did try to instill that agile values within my team. Okay. I made sure that all those people, whoever is attending, I mean everyone is attending the daily Scrum call. Okay. And generally keeping everything time boxed, which is very much required in agile. So one of the incident happened in one of my previous projects when I was located in Poland. At that time, there was a kind of conflict that I did face. Precisely, I was working in a cross vendor team. So there were few developers from some other vendor and some other one of the resource was from some other vendor. So whenever we used to have that PR review, whenever we used to those both the developers, whenever they used to review the PR for each other, they were very much critical about each other's PR, that this is missing and that is missing. So I did observe this thing on for 2 to 3 sprints. So I had a discussion with my product owner that something is it's not going well and it might spoil the team's environment itself. So at that time, what I did from my end, we did have a mutual consensus that we'll be segregating that PR reviews section into a couple of things. One is this nice to have section and must have section. Okay. So in that nice to have, so in that way, we did try to, resolve this conflict, so nobody can be critical about each other's code. So in that way, it helped us a lot after that, and eventually we fix this issue. It smoothened up later on.
Thanks, Kushal, for that.
Again, I lost you.
Yeah, I'm not. Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, maybe there is a slightest delay by the time you hear my voice.
Okay.
Okay, great. So, friends, I hope you guys are liking this session. I enjoying it with Kushal. So before we move on, just hit like button. Okay. You guys are not hitting the like button. That's not good. Okay. So just motivate us. Share your thoughts, your ideas, your answers in comment section. We love to see that. And I try my best to reply to each and every one of you. So yeah, let's move on, Kushal. Yeah, third one is again, I've seen most of the time is with respect to matrices. So what kind of matrices which you use in your project, Kushal?
See, matrices is all about, in terms of deliverables. I mean, I do believe what with my experience, we do have a couple of type of matrices, in terms of deliverables and in terms of effectiveness. In terms of deliverables, we can say that what I use is sprint burn down chart, okay, and more velocity chart and velocity, and sprint goal success. Okay, sprint goal success is something, whatever the story point we have, whatever the stories we committed for a particular sprint, we have completed all those stories and there is no spillovers for a particular sprint. Then we can say that we have achieved the sprint goal, whatever we have decided, and we are in line whatever we have committed with that. So it's a kind of a scrum metric, what I believe. And burn down chart is something, again, this is a scrum metric. That's a standard scrum metric that I used to share in my reports, post sprint reports. And then there is a velocity, and whatever the story points, if at all we have committed some 30 story points and we are completing all those 30 story points, and there is no spillover, then we can say yes, 100% whatever we have committed we did. But while coming in terms of effectiveness, yes, I can say, again, that one more thing is there, sorry. Apart from these three, it's a defect density as well. Now, once a product is being shipped into production, once it went live, after that, if at all we are seeing very less defects, and it is working properly, so we can proudly say that our team did a splendid job in terms of developing it and testing it thoroughly. So that's kind of a scrum metric for us as well. But in terms of effectiveness, if I say, so in terms of effectiveness, I can say that return on investment means that how early a product once goes live, it starts generating revenue. And if at all it is generating revenue which is more than what it took to develop that particular feature, okay, then it is a kind of a scrum metric as well. Moreover, the most essential, I believe, is customer satisfaction. If a customer is satisfied with that or not, whatever the product is, I mean, they are using it properly and they are not facing much issues with that, and it is generating some value again. So they are not reporting any bugs into it. So that is a kind of a scrum metric, which I believe.
Okay, thanks, Kushal. If you allow me just a small follow-up question, where you are tracking all these matrices, in Jira or in Excel sheet or?
Yes, in Jira. I mean, throughout my life, I have used Jira only.
Okay. Okay, Kushal. So let's move on to the next one. It's again most asked question. If you need to accommodate the requirement in between the sprint, how we do that?
See, so the ideal practice is we can, I mean, we should avoid once the scope of the sprint is increased. So we should not. But if at all it is something critical and it comes through business and it will achieve, kind of a business value, it is of higher business value, and it may generate revenue, or it is something very, very much critical, and it has been reported several times by customer, but somehow we missed it earlier. So at that point of time, keeping that criticality factor into consideration, we will be having a discussion with a dev team, with the product owner and a solution architect, everyone. And we might descope something which is of less value, and we might replace with this thing. But in a ideal condition, I will not promote this, and it's not a good practice. But yeah, keeping the criticality factor, we can take it, we can accommodate once in a while, but not in frequently. We can't be generic about this.
And how you do that? Like, so one requirement is there. Would you like to swap it or?
Sorry, I missed your voice again. Yeah, please. Can you come?
Okay, so how we can do that? Like, so let's say I have a user story of, let's say, 5 story points. So you just add in during the sprint, or you will like to swap it with some other user story, or you just park the other
See,
user stories.
the thing is that over here, Sunil, we already committed that capacity for our team. See, they have some 40 story points capacity. We really can't force them to, if at all it is 5 story points, we really can't force them to do the work of 45 story points. So uh, it is something we will discuss in the team, and that product owner will decide if something can be delayed, if something which is of less priority, that can be descoped, and we can accommodate in place of that story, the story which has been of higher criticality and is being asked by business to accommodate.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Again, I lost you, Sunan. There is,
Okay, no issues. So next
yeah.
question is about definition of ready. So what's the importance of DOR, and if you can give some example?
See, a definition of ready is something, it's a kind of an entry criteria whenever we enters into a sprint. So it's a kind of an entry criteria. See, in our project, it was like once the backlog is being refined. So after that, we used to have a sprint planning. Before pulling any product backlog item into the sprint backlog, we used to adhere with a standard invest principle. Okay. And it's a kind of acceptance criteria before taking the story for a particular sprint. So invest, I mean, this is a very normal terminology that every story should be independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, sizable, and testable. So this is used to be a first thing. If at all any of this criteria fails, we uh, generally do not take this into on the sprint backlog itself. So we used to avoid those. We have to identify the dependencies, whatever is being there. So later on, we should know if at all some dependencies are there, and in the middle of the sprint we get to identify that, then we might have to raise the strike for that. And this is a kind of a thing which may impact the sprint goal itself. So the definition of ready for us was like acceptance criteria has to be there, then performance criteria if it is applicable. Okay, the requirements are pretty much clear to the devs, and moreover the testing criteria should be there, that how a product owner will accept this, and which all test criteria it should fit into, and it should adhere with the invest principle as well.
Okay, and just a follow up on this, then what's the DOD and
Sorry, I'm
DOD?
yes, yes. Sorry, I'm just I can't hear you after every question.
That's okay. It's a weird thing, but that's okay. So I was just asking about the definition of done, and if you can give some example, what are the things which we can add in the definition of done?
uh, as I told you that I was working in a TMN project. Okay, so we used to have a monthly invoice. Okay, yeah, they used to generate monthly invoice. So keeping that thing into consideration, definition of done was very much required. In terms, they used to give the billing on the Jira and everything, whatever is there, how much Jira you have completed, how much story points you have completed. So for definition of done from my project, it was like we have segregated definition of done into 5 parts. That is 5 parts for like code completed, code committed, code reviewed, documented, and then your comment section. So in code completed, we used to make sure that unit testing is done and acceptance criteria is met, whatever is being set out initially. And then code committed is something, the code it should have the code should be committed to Git repositories, and that it should be deployed to dev environment. and it should be tested in dev environment. Then your code reviewed. It means that we generally used to have a approver field in that Jira itself. So somebody must have reviewed that code. Okay, so that was a kind of a code reviewer section. And then comes your documented part. Within the documented part, we used to make sure that if at all it is a non-technical stories, okay, some documentation is being done, so we should have a conference page generated for that. And if at all it's a technical stories, then a readme file is generated for them. And in that apart from that, the last part was this one, a comment section. In that we used to make sure that Jira story should be updated with all those Git links, PR links, and then your Jenkins link and Epic links, so that we can maintain the traceability, how much Epic has been completed. Okay, because Epic spreads over the across the sprints. It doesn't necessarily needs to be completed within a sprint. So that was the standard definition I've done for my project.
Okay, now you can hear me. Just tell.
Again, I lost you, Sunand.
That's okay. So I think there's a delay. That's the
Okay.
only thing I can think of. Okay, so next question is about velocity. Let's assume that velocity of your team is fluctuating, and your project manager came one day, and then he told you, like, Kushal, what's happening? How we can improve our velocity? So what is your first reaction?
See, first thing I'll make sure that definition of ready is there. So main problem starts, when sprint planning gets done, and most of the time we do not identify the risk or dependencies. Okay, so if it is correct or not, the main problem starts from there. And then the second bit starts, when we commit things some, and eventually in between some support work arrives. We might have to support some other team, bug fixes are there, but we don't calculate generally all those things. Okay, suppose it's as a standard we should spend some 10% for that. Okay, so we should not overcommit the things first and foremost, and we should observe the behavior from the last couple of sprints or 3 sprints. Okay, our team is doing with the full strength, they are doing these many things, okay, these many story points, so we should not overcommit. And I will try to keep teams very much aligned with the sprint goal. I'll not expect something from outside that do this work, do that work, give this Jenkins access, give this access, and we expect some kind of data from you on this. So because these are the minor things, the support work and all, but it impacts hugely to our work. It happened with me, and my team was getting disturbed because of that. And more importantly, one of the factors that I see, whenever a new joiner comes, they are very much inquisitive, and they ask, they bother team in terms of raising the access, Git access, Jenkins access, and then your, if at all, repository access, then your all those software tools access, no access, service now access. So most of the time 1 or 2 members gets dev, specifically the dev lead, because he's the one whom he approaches the most. So velocity gets here and there at that time. So at that so just to overcome this problem, what I did from my end, I did create a team onboarding page. That's a one-stop solution where I embedded all those links, how to raise the access for all those, whether it is dev related, QA related, and then your environment related, SharePoint access, and everything. So our velocity was getting dropped down for a few days, for a few of the sprints. So I did observe these couple of points. Apart from that, I did observe one more thing, that if a new joiner is coming, we do expect kind of higher productivity from that person, that he will be 100%, or he will be giving same productivity as the other senior devs are giving. So instead of giving him full-fledged role, we can assign some less story points to him, and we do not overcommit those things which we can't complete by the end of the sprint.
Okay, thanks, Kushal. Okay, so next question is about what is the cadence, or how often you refine your backlog. And
we used to refine once in a sprint. That was based on the availability of a developer and product owner and scrum master. And it was not like that, as you know, and this is not something which is as per Scrum guidelines, but it should be there, because in a real-time environment we really can't go straight away in a sprint backlog. So we used to refine once in a sprint. And the product back and the techniques we used initially, we used that Moscow strategy: must have, should have, could have, or won't have. But it didn't work out. Everybody was saying, our team was responsible for developing core patterns, and we do have dependencies for all other stakeholders or the entities from Asia Pacific and Germany and all, to consume all those patterns. So they were coming up and saying that this is of must have, this is of must have. So it was like they were prioritizing everything. They need everything from our team. We do have dependency on we do have that developers who are developing those core patterns. So in eventually our agile coach came up, and I did share this concern with him that everything is on priority here. So he said, okay, let's do it in another way. He did emphasize us, all those scrum masters, to put in this one of the safe technique is there, that is WSJF, weighted shortest job first. In that weighted shortage of first, that was a kind of transparency, I believe, in there, because we all used to sit, product owner, solution architect, dev leads, and everyone. They used to give business people as well, tech BAs and functional BAs. So they used to give some points in terms of Fibonacci series 1, 2, or 3, and we used to have several factors to compute that WSJF factors. So it was like opportunity enablement, then your urgency, and then your dev effort and everything. So eventually those things which has the highest WSJF factor will be pulled into the sprint backlog. Okay, so that was the thing, that was the technique we used, and I felt it very good. I felt it really very good, because it made my life very good as compared to the Moscow strategy.
Good. Thanks, Kushal. Okay, so next one is regarding retrospective techniques, which you are familiar with. You want to share?
I started my, when I started, I was following this traditional approach. What did go well, what didn't go well, what we can improve. But I found it somehow it was not that much interactive. People getting bored into that. So and slowly, I changed this. For 2 to 3 sprints, I followed this traditional approach, and slowly I kept on changing, like sailboat, starfish. In sailboat, it is like we have 4 sections: anchor, rocks, and then your wind and sprint goal. So it was quite good. I used to share that Zoom whiteboard, and they used to drag, okay, this is the goal for this, and this is the anchors that held the sprint bag and all. So I used to give them some 15-20 minutes before, once the sprint retrospective starts, and they used to share their points over there, and in the team itself, and then we used to discuss, and I felt it quite interactive. And after that, I also ran that retro through that starfish approach as well, where we have sections for start, stop, complete, continue, and less. So that was the retro techniques what I did.
Okay, thanks, Kushal. And just for our audience, we have covered all these techniques. All these techniques we have given a live demo in our previous sessions. So if you have not seen it, if you are new, please go and watch those sessions. We have done all those hard work for you to make your life easy. So yeah, okay, Kushal. Okay, so let's move on. What is servant leadership as per you? Now they're not using this word, but now, yeah, I mean, they have changed this word, servant leadership. So what is this new term for you, Kushal?
See, servant leadership is something where you are not authorized to do something. You can't take your decision on your own, and you can dictate the terms. it is something you do create that kind of a dynamic environment. You create that kind of environment, or just encourage the team in a way that they don't feel that they are being managed. Instead, they know that if at all something is required, something needs to be nudged, so they can approach me. Instead, I asking them to do all those things, because see, Scrum never works. It's a self management. There is nothing called that we have to manage them. So it's a cross functional and self managed team. So sovereign leadership is more, I was more of a approachable person to them. If at all something is not going, and they are not able to get proper inputs from some other team, okay, so I used to take the initiative to get this done. Instead of I used to tell them, just focus on your sprint goal, whatever are there. Eventually would we don't get being screwed by the business people. So focus on the work. If at all something is required from my end, sorry, I lost you in between. So if at all something is being required from my end, where this is where my involvement will work only, so you don't need to be bothered about that, some follow-ups and all, and some access and all. So I was more of a I served as a more of a servant leader. I never dictated the terms.
Okay, thanks, Kushal, for that. Okay, so apart from all the sprint events which we are doing, are you involved in any other events?
Yes, I told you, as see, backlog grooming is nothing, is not a sprint event or Scrum event, sorry.
Apart from
But
refinement, anything else, Kushal?
agile best practices call.
Okay, what was that?
Oh, it was like that we did decide, all the Scrum masters and everyone, that we'll be involved in a call where we'll be discussing how can we improve the quality of stories. That initially we used to get that requirements, user requirements in some very high level techno functional things, not in a way that it should. It was not very much clear. So we did approach to the stakeholders that we need requirement. Our developers are not able to understand that. We they are not that much functional. They are more of a technical person. So we need requirements in a way that they can easily work on that. So at that time, there is something like actor action output approach. Okay. So as a user, I want to see so that I can. So acceptance criteria is being properly coming over there. And then reporting format, it was like one of the scrum master is using some different technique, different reporting format. I am using some other reporting format. So somehow we streamlined all those things, and we did make a standard reporting format. So we used to discuss all those things. Moreover, it was like uh, one team is using some other estimation techniques, that t-shirt sizing and all. One team is using that some other technique like Fibonacci series or planning poker. So our agenda was to make it you know a generic one, not a specific. It should not vary from team to team. So that was the agenda of that call, agile best practices call. And apart from that, I was involved in Scrum of Scrum as well, where we used to discuss this dependencies and everything.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned about reporting, right? So what
Yeah,
kind of reports you guys are generating?
just a moment. See, in terms of reporting, whenever sprint scope gets decided, it gets freezed. So after that, we used to have a sprint breakdown, all those stories, whichever we are going to commit, which we are going to work in a particular sprint. So that we used to term it as pre-sprint report before a sprint starts. Whenever the sprint scope gets decided, in pre-sprint report, we used to share the committed story points, team's capacity, okay, and user story capacity, how much stories we are going to committing for a particular sprint. So that was a pre-sprint report that I used to share on very first day of the sprint. And after that, we used to have this sprint and demo pack. whatever the architectural diagrams are there, how we have progressed, whatever the spillovers are there, the rationale behind those spillovers, the blockers which uh, prohibited us to proceed further, the rationale for all those blockers, and your burn down chart and everything into that. So that was a sprint and demo pack. What we used to present in demo itself. From the developers used to refer that demo pack to give the demo to the stakeholders. And at last, once the sprint ends, we used to share the sprint and demo report. Sprint and demo report is in line with whatever we have commented in pre-sprint report. So how we have progressed, whatever the story points we have completed, whatever the story sprint goal we have decided, how much we have progressed, are there any potential blockers? If there are potential blockers, so why, what blocked us, and what are the mitigation plan to resolve them in the ongoing, in the next sprints. So these were the reports I used to share.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and how do you do story estimation specifically when during the COVID time when everyone is working from home or with the different locations? Any
See, it was
challenges?
it was very much interactive, so when it was co-located, it was very much interactive at that time. At that time, we used to have this planning poker session and everything, so it was very much easy. But if you see in Zoom, we do have a provision that whenever we have a group chat or a group call, at that time we have a provision to send it to everyone and send it to a particular person. So what I used to do in that story estimation session, that during sprint planning, I used to ask everyone to send it to me directly instead of sending it on a group chat. So they used to send it to me, 3 story points or 5 story points or 1 story points, whatever they feel. After that, we used to discuss it, the story points and everything, that what made him feel that it is 5 story points, if at all he's the only one who overestimated it. So in Zoom there is a provision, so we used that only when we were working in a distributed environment.
We have a lot of other online tools as well, Kushal, which we can use for
Sorry,
this.
I lost you in between again.
I was just telling that there are a lot of online tools are available by
Yes,
which.
there are tools available, Sunand, but some in banking sector, it's like they have some security breaches and all they don't promote all those things. So instead, they said agile coach, or assigned agile coach said that do it in this way, because they have some restrictions using all those
Okay,
softwares.
okay. So last question for the day, Kushal. And friends, if you are here till this time, don't forget to hit like button. Okay. Okay, Kushal. So the last question is on Scrum values.
Hmm.
Uh, how you make sure that the Scrum values are followed within a project?
See, we have got 5 Scrum values: commitment, courage, openness, focus, and respect. So I used to make sure that everybody should be committed to the sprint itself. Should commit. There should be commitment in terms of joining all the daily, all the sprint ceremonies. They should be focused on towards their work. From my end, I have in terms of maintaining that focus, what I did. So we were in a project. As I told you, we had kind of a dependencies. I mean, all of the team were dependent on us. So they used to approach us whenever there is a new team being ramped up. Okay, they used to approach for Jenkins access, Git access, and everything, and they used to bother our developers like anything. So at that time, they should, my concern was the focus should be there. They should focus on sprint goal itself rather than dodging here and there. So it should not impact the velocity as well. So at that time, what I did, Sonal, from my end, I did create a Jira service desk. Okay, so in that Jira service desk, I sat with one of my developers, so what exactly they want. Okay, while giving the access, so they said that they want this name, standard format they shared with me. just I created a Jira service desk, and just created the workflow in a way that whenever they are submitting the request, it is directly coming to me through notification on mail. Okay, and I should approve that. So I used to check all this format, if at all it is in proper format and everything is in there, whatever the guidelines my developer suggested me to. So at the end, I used to accumulate all those, consolidate all those, request, and at the end we used to have one person on a rota basis for support. We used to give 0.2 story points for each uh, survey, each request. So I mean, for it varies, that standard story points. So for us, it like for my client, recent client, it was 1 day effort equals to 1 story points, what they believed. So we used to give some 0.2 story points for one request. So likewise, I at the end of the sprint, I used to I used to consolidate all the efforts towards this thing, and I used to make sure that only one person gets is working on that, rather than entire team getting disturbed because of that. So focus should be on sprint goal. These things I will just give 50% bandwidth to these things, to that particular developer who is on support, and 50% effort towards the sprint goal.
Thanks. I think we have done for today, Kushal.
Sorry,
Thanks
I
a lot.
lost you. Sorry, I lost you.
That's okay. That's okay. So I think, friends, we have done for today. We have covered most of the common interviews questions which were asked in Kushal interviews. Uh, it's not. I think it's not only three interviews. He has given more interviews, so it's not a three he got offer, but I think it's total 5 or 6 maybe. Who knows? Things are in pipeline, in progress, so he don't want to reveal, but that's the case. But I think by the time this uh, session will be published, he will get the rest of those offers as well. So all the best, Kushal. And friends, if you are new to our channel, do subscribe and don't forget to hit like and share your comments, what you like, what you dislike about the session. If you have any other questions which you have faced in your interviews, please do share with us. We will try to incorporate in our next session. So yeah, all the best for your next interview. Bye guys. Thanks, Kushal, one more time.
Thanks, Sonal, and I would like all those new agile aspirants to just subscribe this channel. This, whatever the initiative you took, it's a superb thing. Whatever you are doing a thankless job for all of us, and I'm sure if you go through all those videos, you will definitely crack any interview.
That's good to know, Kushal. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kushal. Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.